The mighty savannas of East Africa are home to some of the world's most iconic animal species, and to some of the most recognisable, infamous, and spectacular battles for life and death. These vast grassland ecosystems, which account for 1/3 of the world's landmass, provide the setting for some of the most dramatic events in our natural world. Today in 2018, planet Earth is facing an uncertain future. A future fueled by the pressures of a human population which has exploded from just 900 million in the 1800s to 8 billion people today. There can be no doubt that should nothing be done, we shall, within our lifetimes, see the end of many of the most well-known species on our planet. A mass extinction the likes of which has not been seen since the demise of the dinosaurs 65 million years ago. Our situation is not without hope, but it will take a change in our consciousness as human beings, and the change must happen now. We're just going to come up in a moment to a Rothschild giraffe, who's one of my absolute favourite animals. They're just incredible. Look at this, 3 in a row, they're posing for us. And these guys, no matter where you are in Africa, they will stare you out every single time. I absolutely love them. These cliffs you can see behind me are actually the ancient edge of a volcanic crater. A couple of million years ago could well have been molten lava. It's just so cool, so cool. But that's the reason why this is such an incredibly diverse, species-rich area. The 3-hour journey into the Mara has turned into 7 or 8 hours now. I've lost count. We're going hell for leather down this dirt road to try and reach our destination, and then head straight out again, make the most of this incredible evening light. As a photographer, I spent my whole life travelling and trying to explain to people how morning and evening light is the most important. So you'll notice what I'm doing is getting down to what we call an ant's eye view. It brings the photo to life. So in the foreground you've got all the out of focus grass and shrub. Beautiful halo above his head, the dramatic sky, the silhouette of the giraffe. It's so quintessentially African, it's just incredible. The males that are here, there's a couple of brothers, and they came from what's known as the Marsh Pride, down on the Mara Game Reserve, about 40 kilometres away, looking for a pride of their own. They came in, they took over, they killed the cubs that were here, and they set up their own pride. These are their cubs, and we witnessed something really quite rare in the natural world, seeing 2-month-old cubs bound up to their dad, this 6-year-old, absolutely in his prime beast of a male, and play with him, and he really entertained it, and it was just amazing. You don't see that very often. I've had the absolute honour and privilege of spending time with some of the world's oldest and most remote tribes, from deep inside the Amazon to right here in sub-Saharan Africa. The Kenyan grasslands are the ancestral homelands to the Maasai people. Their resilience and their survival instincts have seen them endure unimaginable environmental hardship and over 1,000 years of conflict and persecution. My numerous encounters with these humbling people have taught me many valuable life lessons, and hanging out with the village children will always be some of my most treasured memories of life on the road. We're having a baby girl in February.
Okay.
Already she's like this.
Ah.
Yeah.
And do you know how do you know that she's a girl?
I knew he was going to ask me that. What's your favourite thing for eating? To eat? What is your favourite food? Cow meat.
Meat.
Beef.
Beef.
Beef. With some millipap or?
with blood.
Beef with blood.
Yes.
There's a herd of elephants just around the other side of these bushes. Elephants are my favourite animal, there's no question. They're probably the most intelligent, most emotionally attached, most thoughtful animals on the planet. It's the only animal that does this to me. There's a 2-month-old calf and we've been watching them for about an hour and a half and she hasn't left the safety of the spot between her mother's legs. I'm looking over my shoulder slightly nervously because this is the matriarch just here. The matriarch within a herd of elephants is the most important animal. The reason why it's so devastating when matriarchs are killed for their ivory, the matriarchs pass down information through generations. So the routes these animals need to take to find water, to find the best feeding grounds, it's all learnt from the matriarch. The younger animals learn it from them. When you get up close to them and you look into their eyes, you feel something totally unique. They're just special, and we have to figure out ways to buck the trend and stop what's happening. Research suggests that an elephant's poached for ivory every 15 minutes. There's 300,000 left. Do the maths, they'll be gone in 12 years. No one's really found a way to stop this from happening yet. I've spoken to wardens, anti-poaching teams, guides all over Africa, and they all have the same answer. It doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter how many people are trying to stop this from happening, it simply will not stop happening. The demand in China is so great. It's our responsibility. We caused this. We have to do something. It's not just the poachers that elephants have to worry about. There's an ongoing conflict with local agricultural farmers. They kill the elephants. And this happened a few weeks ago. An elephant from the Mara over this ridge behind us wandered this way through the fields and decimated a 100 square metre plot of maize in a few hours. You know, when you come out here and you see these animals close, alive, you're left speechless. It's something that stays with you forever and ever and ever. You will never forget these moments. And when you see them like this, it's heartbreaking. Every living creature on this planet has just as much right as you and I to live its life, and we're killing these guys by the 100. A world without elephants is an erosion on humanity itself. A world without elephants is an erosion on humanity itself. And what will we have? We'll have an empty world full of people. They're such intelligent animals. For me, there's no other mammal on the planet as iconic, as just simply so beautiful. For sure, there's nothing that comes close on intelligence and emotion. We have to do something. This can't happen. Driving through Amboseli National Park Lake. Yeah, we're in the lake. It's been so hot recently that the water's completely evaporated. It's about 25-30 miles across, the same deep, and it's completely gone. It's gone. Flying down this road. It's not really a road, to be honest with you. It's what's known as an African massage. I've spent so many days in the past looking for cheetah and leopard, and they're so elusive. And there's one right behind me. I can't believe it. And we've survived up until now, but we're stuck in the mud. It's getting dark, we're going home. This is the exact spot where we saw a pride of lions down in the ravine with their babies. There was a big male walking across here earlier. We were photographing him, loving it. I'm not loving it so much now. There's a few species that come to mind when we think about conservation and extinction, sadly. There's probably one that rises above all of those, especially for me, there's no question. This is the African White Rhino, poached to near extinction for its horn. A horn that's made of nail keratin. That's all it is. It's a big nail. It's used in Chinese herbal medicine to cure a common cold. Rhinos are unpredictable. They have terrible, terrible eyesight, but their hearing and their smell is impeccable. It really makes up for it. So here in the long grass, I'm photographing these beautiful African elephants. I'm using a really long telephoto lens at 400mm. In the foreground, we've got all this beautiful grass that you can see. As you get closer to the elephants, it becomes more and more in focus, and the elephants are pin sharp. I'm sat here on the Mara River, the location of one of the greatest wildlife spectacles on the planet. Of course, this is the wildebeest migration. And it's of epic importance to conservation, to wildlife, to ecosystem, to science, to research, to everything. But this migration is under threat. There's currently a proposal in place for a Chinese railroad. It will transect, dissect, and have an unimaginably negative impact on the wildebeest migration that runs through Kenya, Tanzania. This is a huge ecosystem that moves from country to country, and they want to build a train line straight through it. And with that train line, what will come? There'll be roads either side, there'll be thousands of workers and people, heavy machinery, pollution. Let's hope this unbelievable wilderness will stay pristine as it is right now. But if enough people are galvanized and energized and as passionate as I am, there can be a total shift, a shift in the direction of conservation in Africa. And I, for one, intend to make that happen and do everything in my power to see that it does. I spent my life traveling, photographing the natural world and working on conservation projects from right here in Kenya all the way to the uninhabited Galapagos archipelago. But recently, I have a new reason, a very exciting reason, to be even more passionate about wildlife conservation. Not sure if you can see this. In just a few months, we're expecting our first child, a baby girl. And, you know, all parents will associate with this. We really have to do everything in our power to conserve the natural world, protect it for future generations, for our children. There's great things happening in Kenya for wildlife conservation and especially for elephant conservation, but we cannot take our foot off the gas. We have to push and push and push. As humanity, as a country, as a nation, as groups of friends, as families, we have to do everything we can. Our planet is home to 30 million species, from the depths of the deepest ocean to the jungles of the tropics, and from the mighty Asian steppes to the savannas of Africa, right the way up
to the inhospitable tundras at the poles. 4.5 billion years has seen a staggering explosion of life on planet Earth, and every species is locked in a battle for death or for life. Nowhere are these examples, however, more clear than right here on the Great Plains of East Africa. Our species, the human race, which now occupies almost every corner of this spectacular planet, is, make no mistake, at a crossroads of monumental importance.
We are either on the edge of a disaster and will oversee the 6th mass extinction of life on Earth, or we are on the precipice of a revolution to rewind the clock and save our natural world, a movement to turn back time and leave our children just a handful of the wonders we ourselves have had the privilege to see, to experience and to fall in love with. The choice is ours, and the time is now.